In the name of God, hello everybody. This is session 8 of your syntax lesson. In this session, I want to talk about the case theory. Okay. First, I want to talk about two cases: morphological case and abstract case. First, consider these examples. 1a, the butler attacked the robber. 1b, that the butler attacked the robber is surprising. And 1c, for the butler to attack the robber would be surprising. As you see here, 1a is a kind of simple sentence containing two NPs, the butler and the robber. And this is our verb, attack. You see here, the butler and the robber here is our NPs. In 1b, as you see, that simple sentence, that the butler attacked the robber, here is used as the subject of the clause, of this adjectival clause. Okay, you see here, this is the subject, the bracket, that the butler attacked the robber is our subject, and is surprising, is the like a adjectival predicate. You see here, because we use surprising here. In 1c, as you see again, we find the non-finite. You see here, for the butler to attack the robber, this non-finite used as the subject again of the adjectival predicate. Surprising would be surprising. So these are three kinds of sentences. Let us replace the argument NPs by corresponding pronouns. We want here to replace the NPs with pronouns. For example, the first one, the butler attacked the robber. You see here, we can say he attacked him. You see, we replace he instead of the butler, and we replace him with the robber. You see here, in the second sentence, again we can replace the pronouns instead of the NPs. For example, we can say that he attacked him is surprising. Again, you see here, we use a he instead of the butler and him instead of the robber. The third one, again, we can replace pronouns. For him to attack him would be surprising. You see here, for the butler, we use him instead of the butler, and to attack the robber, again, we use him instead of the robber. Okay, you see here, we can replace the argument NPs by pronouns. Okay, so depending on their position in the sentence, the third person pronouns appear in different forms. You see here, in some places we use he, and in other places we use him. Okay, when the pronoun is the internal argument, the object of the verb, for example, like attack, it takes the form him. Again, you look at the examples, you see here, we use him here because this him is the internal argument, the object of the verb attack, so we use him here. Adopting the terminology of traditional grammar, we call this form the accusative case. So we call this pronoun form, him here, the accusative case. Okay, when the third person pronoun is the external argument, the subject of the verb, it takes either the form he or sometimes him. You see here, this is the subject place of the verb, so we should use he here. Okay, not him, he here. We call it nominative case, so we call the object place accusative case like him, and we call the subject place nominative case like he here. Okay, so we call this he form nominative case. So pronouns thus can be seen to have different case forms. He, as I told you, is nominative and him is accusative. A third case form found in English MPs is the genitive. English has a kind of, another case form, the third type of case, which we call it genitive. Look at the example. The butler's coat was too big. We can say his coat was too big. You see here, instead of the butler's, it's a kind of, genitive case, so we can use his. Okay, so we can conclude that English has, three kind of cases: nominative case, like he in the subject position; accusative case, like him in the object position; and genitive case. In this position we can use genitive case. We postulate that English has a fully fledged system of abstract case, but English has a kind of fully fledged system of abstract case, similar to that in Latin or German. We assume that abstract case is part of universal grammar. In English, the abstract case marking is often not morphologically realized. The degree of morphological realization of abstract case varies parametrically from one language to another. Okay, this is, you see here, this is the case system of English, language. So structure, as I told you, we have two kind of case system: morphological case and abstract case. We want to talk about the structural case. As I told you, we have two kind of structural case: nominative instead of subject place, and accusative case we can use in the object place. You see, so as can be seen in the previous examples, the nominative case is reserved for the MP in the subject position of the finite clause, as I told you. And the accusative case, him, like him, is used for both for the object NP of a transitive verb and for the subject NP of infinitive subordinate clause. So we also find accusative case realized on the NP complement of a preposition. If we have a kind of preposition, the complement of that preposition should have an accusative case. For example, look at this example: Jeeves moved towards him. We cannot say Jeeves moved toward he. Okay, this is ungrammatical. We cannot use after the preposition toward, we cannot use the nominative case like he, but we should use accusative case like him. So we can say Jeeves moved towards him. So after the preposition, the complement of the preposition should have an accusative case, like this example. So again, complements accusative verb and preposition as case assigner. So transitive verbs and prepositions assign accusative case to the MP they govern. As you see in the previous examples, or this example you see here, after transitive verb, like the previous example, you see the previous example, this is the verb, the transitive verb. After the transitive verb here, and after the preposition here toward, we should use accusative case, him, as you see in this example. So look at this tree diagram. You see here, killed him. Okay, this is a kind of transitive verb. After the transitive verb we use accusative case, him, not he. Okay, or after preposition, you see here, towards him. Okay, after preposition we use again accusative case, him, not he. And move towards him, again after preposition toward, we can use accusative case, him, not he. Okay. The reader may wonder which element is the case assigner in this tree diagram. Look at this tree diagram. We have two kind of, case assigner. One is the verb move and the other is preposition toward. Is him case marked by the preposition or it's case marked by verb? If I ask you about this case marking in this tree diagram, if I ask you, is him case marked by the preposition towards and by the verb, move here? Under our definition of government, it is the P, the preposition, which case marks the MP, him here. Why the preposition should case mark the him and not the verb move here? We have a kind of condition. Both verb, as you see in the example, the previous example, both verb and preposition command the MP. We might wish to say that verb cannot assign to MP because P is closer. You see here? P, preposition, is closer to MP than verb. So here P can case assign to the MP, the accusative. It's a kind of case assigner. So when the one element is closer to the MP, so we can choose it as a case assigner. So we have two case assigner here, verb and preposition, but preposition is closer to the MP, so preposition, we conclude that preposition can case assign a case to the MP. So P, as you see here, P is closer and P intervenes between V and NP. We could say that if there are two potential governors, the closer governor wins out. So in all sentences, the closer governors wins the government condition. So this idea is expressed in terms of, we call it minimality condition on government. So we call it a kind of minimality condition. I will explain the minimality condition here. Observe that government is defined in terms of or C command or M command, but that the intervening Z is computed in terms of C command. Okay, you see, you look at this example, this tree diagram, and I want here to talk about the minimality condition. A, you see here, A governs B if and only if A is a governor, for example, it's a verb or preposition. A, M commands B. There is no node Z such that Z is a potential governor for B and Z C commands B, Z doesn't C command A. So if there are two kind of governors, one is A or X and the other is Z, the closer governor wins the governing condition. So if Z is a kind of governor, like the previous example, as I told you, for example, this example, we have two kind of governor, verb and preposition, but the preposition is closer to the NP, so the preposition wins the governing condition. We call it minimality condition. Okay, we call this condition as minimality condition. So again, subjects, nominative and accusative. First, nominative subjects. You look at this example, this tree diagram. He attacked him. You see here, he is in the place of subject of the sentence and him at the place of the object of the sentence. You see here, it has been proposed that by Sportish that the subject NP is in the place of spec IP. So you see here, the specifier of IP is assigned nominative case, he. You see here, not by virtue of government, by I, but rather by virtue of a specifier head agreement. You see here we have a kind of a spec head. This is the head. I mean, it consists of tense and agreement feature, ed. You see here agreement, there is a kind of agreement between he and this kind of I, this head. So it could thus be argued that case marking is achieved either via government, like attack him. You see here this is in the place of object, so it has a kind of an accusative case, by the governing, by attack. You see here, so the case, again, it could thus be argued that case marking is achieved either via government, like this condition, or via specifier head agreement, like the subject. A specifier head agreement. We have two condition of, I mean, case assigning, by government or by spec head agreement, like the subject of the finite clause you see here. So the subject of infinitival clause, what is, I mean, the form of the subject of infinitive clauses? Look at this example. We talk about in the previous slides, we talk about the finite clauses, but what's about the infinitive clause? Look at this. For him to attack him would be surprising. This is it. This is the subject of the sentence, and this is the infinitive clause. You see here, for him to attack him. The preposition for, you see here, occupies the head position of CP. Okay, we call for in such example a prepositional complementizer. So for is a preposition, you see here, hence an accusative case assigner. It can, I mean, assign a kind of accusative case. So we shall argue that the role of for is indeed to case mark the subject him here. So let us postulate that there is a universal requirement that all overt NPs must be assigned abstract case. We call it case filter. So this is the case filter. Every overt NP must be case assigned abstract case. Every overt NP should have a kind of case. So this is example, because this NP is after the kind of preposition, and preposition is a kind of accusative case assigner. So we can say him here, not he. For him, because it's after, after the kind of preposition. So for all NPs we have a case filter. Every overt NP must be assigned, case. This is the filter which should be, we have to assign a kind of case to each overt NP in each, sentences. So this is a case filter. So we have said that case is assigned under government, as I told you. Hence we would like to be able to say that the case assigner for here governs him, the subject of the clause which it introduces. So this is the tree diagram, the example you see here. For here as a preposition is a case assigner and governs the pronoun. So we can say just for him, not for he, because preposition assign a kind of accusative case. So we should say for him, okay, not for he. And this is the case assigning. So the question could be raised, how come for can case mark the MP in the spec IP if maximal projections are barrier for government? Then for should not be able to govern into its complement IP. We will assume that IP is not barrier. You see here, for can govern the him, and IP is not a barrier for this government. So for can assign accusative case to him, and we can say for him. So IP is not a barrier for governing. Okay, that's enough for today. And we talk about the case system in this session the structural case system like nominative case and like accusative case, and I told you that by governing, I mean the verb, the transitive verb, and the preposition can assign accusative case to the pronoun, like the him. And in the subject position, we have a kind of nominative case, he. Okay, so this is the case system of the all, I mean, overt NPs. Okay, thank you for your attention, and goodbye, everybody.